Welcome back. Stocks slammed this week amid the tariff back and forth. The S&P 500 tumbled into correction territory on Thursday. This despite two new reports on inflation, both showing consumer and wholesale prices cooling. The consumer price index now at the lowest annual level since April of 2021, while the PPI, the producer price index, has come off of a two-year high. Jobless claims also down last week. All of this ahead of the Federal Reserve's meeting next week. Joining me now is the former Federal Reserve Governor, Kevin Warsh. Kevin, it's great to have you this weekend. Welcome.
Great to be with you, Maria.
How would you assess the macro story? And do you believe we're going to see growth in the first quarter or contraction?
So the president inherited a fiscal and economic and regulatory mess, and it's going to take a little digging out to be on a stronger platform for growth. Listen, my view is that the economy is transitioning from one where we had big government spending, short-term stimulus, and it had a veneer of prosperity. But as you know, Maria, hardworking Americans weren't buying it. So we've got to build a new platform for growth. I think economic growth this year can be strong with good economic policies, but Rome wasn't built in a day, and so this will take some time.
And it is sort of taking time right now as we watch the markets get used to a new sheriff in town with tariffs. What is your expectation of the impact of tariffs?
So there's a new view among commentators in Washington, I'm afraid economists, that somehow tariffs are the source of inflation. But inflation's been around for about 4 or 5 years as a result of bad economic policy. So we shouldn't let people get away with saying that, oh, some inflation surge is because of new Trump tariff policy. Tariffs are barely in effect. The policies haven't yet been decided. The truth of the matter is inflation is a choice, and the Fed's made a lot of bad choices over these last several years. The inflation monster came about 5 years ago. The Fed's had plenty of chances to kill it, and they've failed to do it. So my take, Maria, is the president's had to take matters into his own hands and try to kill inflation by reducing government spending. If the Fed's not going to deal with inflation itself, the rest of the government's going to have to do it, and I think we're off to a good start.
Well, what a refreshing take on that, Kevin. Thank you very much for that, because there's been such an overreaction out there. And then there's deregulation, which is also a key policy out of this administration. President Trump told me first this week on Fox Business that he has asked Mickey Bowman to be the vice chairman for supervision at the Federal Reserve. In this position, she will oversee the banks. This is a complete change from Michael Barr's oversight of the banking sector. Tell me what you believe this will mean.
So I think it's great news. Mickey is a great choice. She's got courage. She's got convictions. It's not easy to show up at the Federal Reserve, 23,000 employees, a set of ideas that are quite anachronistic to what you and I believe drives the economy, and she's been tough. When the rest of the Board of Governors and the Reserve Banks sort of panicked in the fall and cut interest rates by 50 basis points, she said no. She's a very steady hand. And frankly, as you say, we need new leadership in bank regulation. She's over at the Fed already, so she can hit the ground running. And bank regulation has been very bad for the last 4 or 5 years. It's provided a huge amount of sand in the gears of this economy, and it's slowed us down. And with Mickey's leadership and new leaders at the FDIC and the OCC, I think we can have a dramatic change. And the deregulatory policies that we've already seen in energy, I think we're going to start to see in the coming weeks and months on the banking side. With Mickey's appointment, which hopefully will be publicly announced somewhat soon, the regulating community, the regulators can say that we're open for business. The regulators can say we're open for business for consolidation among small and medium-sized banks, and no longer are we going to allocate credit based on political preferences. It's a sea change, and I think it's very important, Maria, to help get this economy going back on the right track.
All right, we will be watching that change. That's big. We so appreciate your time this weekend. Please come back soon, Kevin. Thank you.
Great to be with you, Maria.
All right, Kevin Warsh joining us.